Hi, I'm Mason Duchatschek.
I'm Miss Hancock.
And we are business consultants, and we wanted to take some of our offline conversations online and just talk about issues that managers and business owners and executives deal with, and maybe offer some thoughts and perspectives that people can utilize to help themselves make better decisions faster.
Exactly.
And, one of the topics we wanted to address today was the importance of hiring honest employees, integrity in the workplace.
Which I gotta tell you, I was amazed when you said, let's Google employee theft, and there's a lot that comes up.
Well, I would be more so Google employee theft and then go to your search tools and do it just for this week.
Right, just for this week alone. Exactly.
And
it's amazing. And at all levels.
At all levels.
At all levels.
And so we pulled up a few articles that came up this week so that we could talk about a few of them. Here was one that's, I guess, said, eye doctor employee charged with theft from ophthalmology office. Well, evidently, it looks like Cheryl Ward of South Amboy pled guilty to, I guess,
$75,000 she took.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
And she's 35 years old.
Yep.
So
sounds like she's been doing it over 17 months.
Talk about all different ages. Let's see what her terms were. Yes, I guess she's going to get 5 years in prison. But dishonest employee. Let's take a look at this. Ex-manager of CBS Credit Union admits to stealing $40 million from members to gamble and buy expensive cars.
Holy cow!
$40 million. And let's see what he did with it. He said
he was having some fun. He was like in a private jet.
Traveling by private jet, driving around a Porsche.
Tiffany jewelry. He was living the high life.
He was living the high life.
I'm telling you.
It says the decades-long scheme was exposed in March after a credit union employee discovered a $35,000 check payable to this guy. Well, what would have happened if they wouldn't have discovered that? How much longer would that continue? So the employee conducted an audit and found another $3.8 million in checks issued to this guy just in the previous year alone, according to the prosecutors.
Wow.
led the union to shut down weeks later, and that was a mess. And it said, here it says, he told the authorities that he gambled much of the money away, gave his wife a weekly allowance of $5,000, started a coffee business in Reno, Nevada, and bought himself numerous expensive items. Said he agreed to forfeit his bank accounts and several personal properties, including a Tesla, a Lexus, a Porsche, and homes in Studio City, Reno, and Mexico.
Holy cow.
Decades long.
I have so many questions, but it wouldn't have anything to do with this video, so I won't ask them right now, but well, there's a lot going through my head right now with this.
Obviously, when you're talking about employees that have been around a long time, a lot of times I think business owners and executives look at something like Integrity, like, Johnny's been with us a long time.
And
everything's great, and
of course he's going to be with you a long time if he's just
getting paid like that.
Yeah.
I will tell you, even here, here's a thing that says a bank employee sentenced to 1 month in prison for $108,000 theft, and it looks like a 35-year-old teller.
Stealing from an 84-year-old and an 88-year-old. I mean, taking from, obviously, these are probably long-time customers.
Yes.
That are being $53,000 from one of them.
So the consequences of hiring honest people. I mean, there was a story that I don't know if I shared this in any of our other video discussions, but for those who may not have heard it, but I had a buddy of mine who was an executive at a major beverage company, and he told me that they had noticed that there were truckloads of product missing, like flatbed truck, a huge quantity of beverages missing,
Gone.
and they couldn't figure out where the shortage was coming up. And months had gone by. I mean, obviously they knew stuff was missing, but
didn't have any,
So here's where they clued in. Where they clued in was the fact that for anyone to be able to pull off a theft of this volume, they had to be someone who had been there a long time and had lots of experience and knew the ins and outs of the company and the business and how it worked. So they were able to hammer this down by thinking, who could possibly know our systems well enough to pull off something of this magnitude? And they found out it was a person who was not too far from retirement, and they discovered who it was. So I asked my friend, the executive of this company, said, so did you make an example of this guy?
How much jail time did this guy get?
Well, I asked him, I said, even before jail time, I said, did you make an example for the rest of the workers? Did you parade him through your warehouse and through your corporate offices with handcuffs and make public news? And he's like, absolutely not. I go, what'd you do? He said, we threw an early retirement party for him.
Oh my gosh.
And that person could go to work for another company tomorrow.
And why did they do that?
Well, because they said, we're the number 2 in the market. And if we filed a suit, then it would become public knowledge, and last thing we wanted is all of our customers coming back saying, well, you screwed me, and
right.
And trying to undo that mess,
Oh my gosh.
So they just swept it under the rug, hit it up. So if this guy were to go to work for your company tomorrow, and you did
he has there's no
record.
record. So I think he's awesome, and he stayed with someplace for a really long time, so he looks good on paper.
Looks great on paper.
Yeah.
He can be an issue for you, and you can do a background check, which I am a fan of background checks. Don't get me wrong, I am a huge fan of because you know what, you're going to discover behavior that someone did and that they shouldn't have, and they got caught doing it and were prosecuted successfully for.
Right.
This guy did something he wasn't supposed to do. He was caught, but he wasn't prosecuted.
No, it's not showing up on paper, and that's where these tests are so handy.
Well, I'm a big fan, as you folks know me. I mean, pre-employment testing is a lot of my consulting is based around that area.
Right.
But you know, how do you solve those problems before they occur?
Right.
You know, and there are assessments that you can utilize to measure integrity and honesty before you hire an individual at any level. You know, and I've had some people say to me, you know, well, I would just do that for my hourly employees. Well, and I get that. I mean,
sure, that can, but apparently it doesn't matter if you're an hourly employee, if you're a big executive. I mean, and the big executive got away with a lot, $40 million. I mean, come on, it would have been worth doing the test ahead of time on someone like that.
Well, even with hourly employees, I mean, you add up someone who steals T-shirts or baseball gloves or baseball bats or hockey jerseys or whatever they do, or someone that underrings their friends, you know, that comes in for smoothies and they underring all their friends or whatever. I mean, there's just a whole bunch of different ways and that adds up. If you've got a whole bunch of those hourly employees that lack integrity and they cover for others who do, then...
And trying to investigate something like that, think of all the time you have to put in to figure that out.
And to prove it. I mean, if you're, let's say something goes down, I mean, you're going to have to, you may have to hire, depending upon what your company's set up, you may have to hire private investigators, which not inexpensive. They have to watch their P's and Q's so you don't get in trouble as an employer. And if
you've got like tons and tons of videotape to go through, that's a lot of time.
So, I think that, I guess it was Dr. Greg Lewis who once taught me, he said, parents don't teach selective values. A parent who takes the time to teach their child that honesty is best policy typically teach them things like a job is a privilege and an honest day's work and an honest day's pay, so on and so forth. And, Dr. Usignan also taught me one time, you can't judge a crook by the cover. A lot of people look and say, I can tell they're honest, or I can tell, no, you can't.
No, you can't. No, you can't. You absolutely cannot.
So, I guess, based on just this week alone, just pulling up some of the articles that popped up on Google and seeing whether it's a bank teller who's getting hourly wages, whether it's an executive, it doesn't matter. At all levels, if a company fails to gather all the job-related information they can about an applicant before they put them in a role of responsibility,
protect yourself now.
Protect yourself.
Protect yourself now so it doesn't cost you so much money down the line.
Because, obviously there's a whole field of loss prevention where you've got secret shoppers and mystery shoppers and things like that who can go in and do things, and security consultants that can help you put together cameras and policies and procedures. And you know what? There's a lot of businesses that's required.
Right.
But if you've got people who are dishonest, all they're going to do is focus on a way of beating the system, whatever it is.
And they kind of an inside, they got some insight into how things operate.
So, am I a fan of doing all the things that you can to protect your business? Absolutely. But
Yes.
it's, if you don't do everything within your power as an employer to minimize your risk, i.e., do a background check, do drug tests, have some good security systems in place, have security policies in place, and do employment testing for integrity. So it's like agreeing to play Russian roulette without checking all the chambers of the weapon first. It's not worth the risk.
Right.
It's just not worth the risk. So, I guess if I were to summarize our conversation and my encouragement to businesses, business owners and managers that are listening, is do everything within your power to focus on something as important as a trait that I consider as important: honesty, honest employees.
Right.
Even like we touched a little bit on the drug free. I mean, you do background check, but if someone's got a drug issue or something like that, then guess what? They might be inclined to steal money. The reason to do a credit check. Again, I'm a fan of background checks too.
Right.
The reason to do a credit check. Well, if someone is in big debt, or someone has drug issues,
Right.
or both,
Right.
and you're putting them in a position that gives them access to cash, and not a lot of supervision or policies or procedures, or you're asking for it.
Right.
I mean, if someone feels the pressure, and you give them the opportunity with minimal chance of getting caught,
and you can't put a price tag on peace of mind. I think that's a huge thing. Feeling like the person that you're hiring, like you don't have to watch over them. Like you feel like they took these risk assessment tests. I feel good about this person. Everything is like checking out. You're going to feel a lot safer with that hire.
I would agree. So, I guess in summary, if I'm talking to a business owner, one of the most important traits that I believe they can hire for is integrity.
Yep.
And I think there are multiple things that they can do to minimize the risk of bringing dishonest people into their workforce.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are things that they can do to minimize the opportunities that people who may or and that's one other thing I'll touch on is my experience has been, and things I've read and things I've studied indicate that I can't remember which study it was, otherwise I'd quote it, but I remember reading one study that said about a third of people are basically honest. Regardless of the temptation, they'll do what's right.
Right.
About another third of them are basically dishonest, and they will take advantage if given the opportunity. And then you got a third in the middle that can be tempted.
Right.
And if you can avoid the high risk folks, good move.
Yes.
If you can minimize the temptation for the folks in the middle, another good move.
And then get the honest
and then get the honest people and keep them there. So
awesome.
Anyway, hope some of these ideas and discussion items get you to think and perhaps take action if you've got holes or opportunities for dishonest people to take advantage of your business. I hope we've shed some light on that. So thanks, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.